Welcome back, disc golf fans, to the LWS Open at Idlewild, presented by Dynamic Discs and the Natty. This is a Disc Golf Pro Tour Elite Series event, the last one before the playoffs this year. We're out here at Idlewild Park. I'm Nathan Queen, again joined by Andrew Fish.
And delighted to be back on the mic with you, Nathan. In that front nine, we saw Calvin Heimburg have one bogey, but get to 5 under overall. Everybody else hanging in there, 24th place at 4 under. Pretty much, if you get about half the holes, you're doing amazing at Idlewild.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid game plan. As you see, Kyle Klein 8 down on the front 9. Jeremy Colin and myself, a couple North Carolina players sitting at 7, and then the rest of the top 10 leaderboard is sitting at 6 through that front 9, so gotta get on a hot start.
Yeah, no doubt. Some easier holes, but also some more treacherous holes on the back 9. Hole 10, 368 feet, a par 3, relatively straight off the tee, and then a pretty steep uphill climb at the end. Difficult to get all of this distance because of the low ceiling and high floor. Heimburg gonna rip a driver, and that gets caught up near circle 2.
Which is a pretty common place for a good shot. Good shots don't really get you a birdie on this hole. You have to throw a great shot.
And is that wasn't a putter, was it?
No.
Pretty difficult to get there with counterclockwise spin. The action would just be so late. I thought Arlinghaus might have just been playing for par, which is not a bad idea here.
Yeah, even if you're playing for birdie, a lot of the time you get a par. So if you're playing for par feels safer to you, then definitely a great idea.
Yeah, even with some significant clearing that's been done both to the left and right of this fairway, a couple different places can put you in some real trouble. Matty O, I like that. Low and driven, get back to edge, and that's going to run into the circle about 18 feet.
Beautiful shot. Just straight the entire way. Let it catch that little bit of fade at the end. Trusted that driver down this tight fairway.
And Dickerson pinballing around a little bit. He's actually going to be throwing his third before anybody else gets to their second. Looks like he had some ambition of trying to throw that in, but is going to backboard up to a leaner.
Yeah, I feel like we've said this most of the holes out here today, but another one that's just going to be pretty slopey right around the basket, easy to get away from it.
Yeah, absolutely. So many of the greens out here requiring focus and precision, as well as not just relentless aggression. Heimburg, ambitious bid from deep, but it's going to come up a little short. Or I'm sorry, a little high.
Matty O able to card the lone birdie on the card. Just 15 birdies on the day today. Playing as the third most difficult hole because of that. Just not many birdies.
And it's wild to see that with no OBs, it's playing that hard.
Yeah, still with no OBs, 22 players carding a bogey. So, nice to have one hole with no OB, but it's pretty tough.
There's one more hole with no OB here.
Yes, we do get a couple more holes. But very short par 3 here, 242 feet. Throw it straight. Don't hit this little tiered up green that you've got. If you hit that wood, it's easy to bounce away.
And that tee shot is good on every fairway in the world. Let's look at it again from the catch cam side. Matty O, little nose up, drift. Catches up late, and a little bounce off the front edge, but no problem.
Yeah, can't draw it up much better.
Another sneaky line available is this right side. You just kind of throw something with some speed and heat. Not perfectly executed from Heimburg, but still inside the circle.
Yeah, taking that play on the right side is just kind of playing for that uphill putt. Going to be difficult to get up to pin height with it.
Zach Arlinghaus errant with the forehand. He's going to be back near hole 10's basket.
Dickerson also hitting the line a bit on the low side, but going to be well inside circle 1. And Arlinghaus over in circle 1 back on 10's green. Kind of pitching over. Calvin Heimburg, 6 down.
Yeah, that's getting it done. Covering up the slight mistake on the tee shot. And Dickerson into the center. That basket is so high from the short side of this green. Converse for his bird as well. And Arlinghaus settles for the par.
Yeah, 56% of the field. Carding a birdie on that one. 2 players, 6 down now.
Hole 12, 564 feet, a par 4. A little bit of a change, pretty significant change actually from what longtime viewers may be aware of. You can overthrow this landing zone, and then everything has been cleared out as the basket is about 80 to 100 feet short and left of its previous position. Forehand plays, backhand plays, just need to be right of a mandatory about midway down.
Matteo is crossed just in front of that mandatory. If you push anywhere past that drop zone sign, as far as straight off of the tee past it, it gets pretty cluttered and pretty hard to get there. You've really got to move off to the right side. Calvin catching early, and he's going to be in a good spot to hit a very tight line that the drop zone leads you down to the pin.
Dickerson going to go slow disc on this forehand. I think a couple schools of thought here. Some players playing it similar to how they previously had. That's Chris in pretty good position, about 225, 250 away. Others are just kind of throwing into the woods and hoping to sneak through, which this change seems to reward with no underbrush anywhere between you and the basket.
Seems like Zach got to a pretty decent spot. Calvin looking down that very skinny line here. Just a bit inside, but he's going to sneak through.
Yeah, no matter. Gets himself to the backside of circle 1. Forced into a little bit of a creative forehand here. Matteo said he didn't want to have to throw him, but there's a forehand roller. Just get the distance that you can and try to squeeze a putt out of it.
Yeah, looks like he's deep in circle 2 there. I'll have a long look. Zach kind of in an in-between zone. If you can get farther right than this, then the gap opens up pretty well. Well, it looks like he's got a decent gap there.
Yeah, hits the first one, but I don't know that you can plan a whole lot beyond that. Chris lining up the hyzer.
Yeah, so it's hard to tell from here, but there is a way to get in over here, and Chris has hit it. He's going to be inside circle 1 over on the left side.
Slightly downhill approach here. And Zach just going pure speed control. I think what I really like about Zach's game is he's not the furthest thrower out there, and he's got 2 shots that kind of spin the same direction. But he makes up for that with such good touch getting up and down on his approaches. Matteo, the long bid, but going to run behind the basket.
Yeah, looked to be on a good line, ended up just a bit right. Calvin now coming back for the birdie. Circle's edge in the woods. Maybe circle 2. And is just going to come up low. Tough putt straddling out on a knee.
That would have been such a great pickup because of the difficulty of his second shot. Chris is going to card the birdie, the lone one on the card.
Yeah, bounces back nicely after another bogey on 10, able to get to 5 under par.
Everybody else looking for their pars. And that fresh mulch giving Zach Arlinghaus a little bit of footing trouble.
But he'll clean up nicely. Another clean round going for him. Hole 13, 584-foot par 4, the Y hole. If you can get through that Y and get to somewhere in this area or even in that sunny area out in the open, you're going to have a second shot of a tight approach shot down through this green. You've got an OB creek that runs through the middle of this first shot and then maintains its way down the entire left side of the fairway and long.
And Chris, by some miracle, inbounds after overturning and kicking. Matty O, this is more what you're looking for. Push through that gap and then fight back to the left. That runs down the slope and able to stop in time with some tree help. So he's going to be about 250 into the bucket. Heimburg, low and driven. And a pretty favorable skip. He's going to be down there, Matty O.
Oh, yeah. Matches that line nicely, just a bit lower. Gets a forward skip.
And tougher is the lefty, as Arlinghaus has to get a late flip.
You know, I think that might have been the same disc he threw on 10 that you thought was a putter. It looked like a putter to me
If
there.
it was, it still is a putter.
Yeah, that definitely was. And a well-executed shot. Tough to make that decision when you see everybody going fairway and distance driver. And he's able to disc down to a putter without really thinking about it much. That's a smart play.
Yeah, you see once again, the comfort in the course. He's got so many reps out here that he's probably tried all the other options and settled on this one. The forehand, not going to peer the gap and boost down to the right.
And Matty O looking pretty much straight down the gap here. Very nice little finger pop. He's going to be up there inside circle 1.
Yeah, very nicely done. Heimburg. Very overstable, thrown slowly so that it fights back to the right. And once again, inside the circle, he's had to make a bunch of putts.
Yeah, he caught that late tree there, going to keep him long, but he's well warmed up on the putting green today, so as Arlinghaus looks like he'll be able to get up and down for his par. Chris has been laying up a lot of shots today. Might be able to give this one a bid.
And does honorable bid. Well executed scramble for Chris Dickerson. And Calvin, that warm-up put to good use.
Yeah, now 7 down on the round. Matty O to keep pace with that.
And does so. He's able to look away. He knows he buried that one in the chains.
Chris having to give that one a double look as it got to the backside of that basket very quickly. But him and Zach Arlinghaus both able to collect their pars. And move on to hole 14.
Downhill par 4 at 556 feet. Push through this initial gap. Hold straight for a moment and then start braking to the right. Forehand or counterclockwise spin going to be the most common play. Great shots can land down here in the flat and then the basket beyond a creek, as so many are. This is probably the most forgiving island.
Oh, and this is pulled off left quickly and kicks off left as well.
Good kick, though.
Hard to know if you're going to have a scramble shot to get down to the flat, but very difficult if you can't get down to the flat to scramble for par from where he's at.
Yeah, I agree. Just some scattered trees in that landing zone make it difficult if you're more than 200 or so. But I believe that left side will open up his angle to approach the landing zone.
Beautiful line from Heimburg.
Yeah, that's big time.
Well down there. Chris going with a slower disc here on the forehand. Not trying to get too much distance. Misses the line.
Still reasonable progress. He might be able to attack the green if he finds a line he can deal with. And early for Zach Arlinghaus, tags the right tree and goes down to the right.
And not in a good position up here. Gonna need some extra work to get down to the flat, and he's gonna kick the opposite way back to the left side.
Yeah, I think here's going to show the difference between kicking right and kicking left. As Matteo has a driver in his hand, he'll be able to follow this gravel path down to the right.
Yep. Oh.
And actually almost pushes into the OB. He'll have a jump putt approach.
Yeah, almost too far, so par should be in hand, if not a long birdie bit there. Zach already throwing 3 and looks to be in a precarious position.
This is where rounds can get away from you a little bit at Idlewild if he
Yeah.
tries to do too much here.
Good job, Zach.
Oh my goodness.
That
He's
is-
done it.
That's huge. That's where he gets rewarded for that risk.
Huge par scramble here as another righty forehand kind of falling over with a bush in his face. Whisker tickler.
Yeah, and the enthusiasm from the spotter too. Vigorous flag waving.
Awesome.
Dickerson.
Did find a line to try to get aggressive. Isn't going to bite him too much. He's down there in the flat. Looks like he should be able to get up and down for par.
Yeah, from that spot, I think you can deal with a par. But overturned, and then he called bank, I think, to get to about 18 feet for his par look.
Yeah, a bit errant there, but he's a pretty good putter. Should be able to still clean up that par. Calvin with the long eagle look after a massive drive.
Gonna nestle it in the little gully right behind the basket. I have seen an eagle at least once on this hole. Did we get any today, Nathan?
No eagles today. I saw a drive land about where Matty O's at right now. Then Bart hit the cage. He was close.
Okay. Now, when you hit it clean, this one can go a long ways. Dickerson is able to clean up that par. And here is Zach to cap off a pretty miraculous set of scramble shots.
Yeah, another incredible par save. He's had a few of them on this round so far. Matteo also going to scramble for that par. Calvin Heimburg, though, making it look easy. Nice birdie moves him to 8 under. And into hole 15, 487-foot par 4, but 50, 60 feet uphill to this point right here. which is where you want to get to, right to the end of that mulch. You have to get there if you really want to be in a good position to attack this basket, which still goes uphill and then around the corner a little bit. This hole can bite you very quickly if you don't get to this point on the fairway. Calvin Heimburg, as he's done the rest of the round, just going to throw an incredible drive.
Yeah, not a problem. Just accelerating an eagle through the gap up the hill. Patio, a little less speed on this. That left side is survivable. He should have a relatively straight look through the second gap.
Yeah, he is actually slidden up to the flat there. Just about. Shouldn't be in too bad of a spot.
Flip the Undertaker for Dickerson. Heiser release and then flattens up.
Wow. Another well-executed shot.
And pulled over a little bit for Zach Arlinghaus. And is going to tap down to the left side. But he's high enough on the hill that he can actually attack the gap.
Yeah, he fought through pretty well, more than you see most of the time when you pull it over to the left like that. And he's able to get himself inside circle one looking at a birdie.
Yeah, that's big time.
Matteo trying to figure out that uphill run up and gonna pull that off to the left a little bit. Never quite got that footing comfortable.
Yeah, that looked like one huge awkward step. I know Matty's a big, tall guy. To this backhand turnover for Chris Dickerson.
Yeah, I like this shot. If you're comfortable with the backhands, you can put it out straight and then let it drift off to the right.
Yeah, I think I prefer the action on that to the forehand, which is going to run down the hill of the green or push too straight into the shul.
Right, and having to throw it uphill makes it a little easier to early release and push down that hill faster or miss this gap.
Heimburg with the putter. Also abbreviated on that front foot, but not a problem.
Trying to scare that basket. I did get to watch somebody throw it into that basket from just over 200 feet. Harper Thompson on my card today, able to card the eagle.
Not the first time you shouted out a big throw-in from Harper on your card, so well done there. Here is Zach stepping up for a birdie attempt. And clean, low, centered on the chains.
Yeah, 5 under par. Putting together a pretty solid round. Chris Dickerson looking to move to 6 under par. There it is.
Matty 0 for 4. We might be able to see this go in the basket. He seems to have blocked out all of Gatekeeper media.
Yeah, we're moving to Miami for a for a few seconds here.
But good conversion. Nobody getting beat up by hole 15 too bad. Today at least.
Yeah, surprisingly to me, 43% of the field carding that birdie or better. And 13% bogey or above, so not too much trouble.
Open champion, hold like this.
I just think the plastic is very premium. It's a high quality material. The way the disc feels in my hand.
I think it's the quality of plastic.
It's unlike any other plastic that you'll find in the industry.
The quality is better than any other company out there.
Again, just consistent plastic. It's something I can consistently trust on every single throw.
There's so many discs to choose from, and I guarantee if you tried every disc in the lineup, you're gonna wanna put multiple discs in your bag.
It's extremely high quality. You can only say so much, they have to eventually just try it themselves and see.
Hole 16, another par 5, 969 feet with OB left and right. Likely to see drives get into that little bowl, about 500 50 feet from the basket. And then as it plays so far downhill, lots of attacking potential on the second. Basket over a small OB creek on one of these well-done turf greens. Calvin going to go 9 speed off the tee. Not going for too much. I think he's probably going to go more attack on the second shot.
Yeah, if you can go fairway off of this tee and just kind of control it into the middle, second shot you can really go big and air it out. If you do end up landing in that creek down there, you still have yourself a birdie putt.
And I think that's kind of the balance that many of the veterans have figured out here. You have to accept that risk in order to attack because you really can't see this landing zone.
Yeah, hard to see it, and you really don't want to come up short on the right side in the OB of this fairway, right or left side. I mean, I thought about doing this today, and I probably should have. Kind of a headwind, right to left wind, it felt like when we were out there today. But then it swirled around a lot, and a very well executed riser from Arlinghaus.
Yeah, it has to put it over the OB to start, whereas righty players here can see the line, throw it straight down there with something overstable. But Matty has let the wind get under this. He's tracking to the left side. Even with a little bubble of safe, he has found the OB.
Looks like Zach going back to the same disc. Gonna put a little more flex on this one, maybe.
Yeah, you called it. I don't know if it has enough left drift before the speed of the disc catches up.
Go. Yeah, and he has absolutely smashed it. I thought it may go OB short right, but he has gone well long and gonna be right side OB. Not much of a birdie putt from over there, but should be able to get up and down for a par.
Heimburg going to go big hyzer with the overstable disc and gets to the bottom of the hill. He might be able to take a look at the eagle putt. Matt Orum's third. And pretty well done to be on the right side and then starting to finish. You just have to have played your practice round and figured out your reference point as Matty O going to go right up to the edge of the OB creek.
Oh, he's done that perfectly for not being able to see. He's still going to have himself a birdie look after going OB off of the drive.
And I think a little more perhaps conservative from Chris Dickerson, just playing spiky hyzer. And this time, his lack of aggression not quite paying off as he has stalled OB.
Yeah, just too much spike on it. I never got a chance to move back to the left. Could have had something to do with that wind that was swirling around out here. I definitely felt some right to left and left to right. In a pretty tricky spot here. It's more viable to go for that green because you can kind of see it from where he was at, but he is going to be just short of that creek. Putting for a par now.
Yeah, you really don't have good options when you're throwing your fourth from that far back, so a par save would be huge for Dickerson's round. Vinny for eagle. And a really great shape, really great height, but fades off to the left. Zach Arlinghaus should be able to give this a full bid. His spin runs away from the out of bounds.
Yeah, has a little better look than I was thinking he did. Oh, and just gonna come up short for his par.
I think
Oh, yeah,
that was his birdie bid. This is Dickerson now for par. And does cover up his mistake.
Yeah, well executed from where he was at, throwing four, and a nice putt there to finish as well. Matty O to clean up a birdie after going OB. And able to move to 8 under par. Sweet.
Well, alas, no eagles on this card, but like hole 8, this one kind of gives up a handful of eagles every round.
Yeah, hole 8 and hole 16 both gave up 13 eagles on the day today. 26 combined between the two par 5s.
Sorry, we can't shout out any of those in particular. There's just too doggone many of you. You got to do something special like throw in for 2.
Need that albatross. And Zach, another nice scramble for par there. Moves us into hole 17. Changed back to the 287-foot par 3 with this OB Creek here, and here, and here, and then long of the basket as well. Best play is just kind of run the basket. Hopefully you land on the green. If not, you've got a pretty short comeback putt if you go long OB.
The other alternative is try to play a little safe with a forehand out to the right. Calvin might be thinking no sense in taking unnecessary OB strokes, but that puts him in a tough spot where even the layup isn't a guaranteed one.
Yeah, it seems like trying to play off to the left or the right side can just bring in some rolls into that OB and leave you a scary putt that could lead to an OB as well.
Matteo tracking down the right side, but that's going to go out of bounds. He is putting for par from near edge of circle. Dickerson told me he's traditionally gone forehand here, but felt like he needed a birdie. So he's going to the backhand putter, trying to attack the green.
And puts a nice hyzer on it. Gets that nice flight, and he is going to pinball through the field goal and be in bounds over that bridge.
Like this hyzer release to flip over. And bridge, tree, green.
That's how you draw it up on hole 17.
And Zach Arlinghaus. I wonder how many different configurations he's tried on this hole, or different disc options.
I like the one he's let go of right here, but it is going to be a little bit short on the distance. And going to come up putting that par from around circle's edge or so. Calvin in a tough spot here.
And just low. Wow. Even from that far back goes for the basket. Matteo for 3. And tell you what, he is saving everything with his putt. OBs on the previous 2 holes, but still 1 under on them.
Yeah, playing pretty clean for Matteo. Like he said, that putt has been on point. Arlinghaus also pretty on point with the putt. Just a miscue or 2, but he is 5 under par.
Heroic scrambling all day.
A clean 5 under par. Chris Dickerson, after sticking it on this tiny little peninsula island-ish green, is going to be able to connect for his 2. And 7 under par inside the top 20, but still 3rd on the card. .21% of the field birdie, 21% bogey or above, making this the 4th hardest hole on the course today.
And a hole that doesn't require OB to be hard. Hole 18, 650 feet, a par 4. Net straight. You can attack as much or as little as you'd like off of this tee. Just try to put yourself in position to throw a full swing up to the basket, which is guarded by a couple of cedars. I think, in general, mid-range has been the most common play over the last few years. Although, with an opened-up left side, I think some players may have started to be a little more aggressive, trying to push way down there, make the second shot easier.
Yeah, very difficult to land in the spot that you would like to on this hole. You see Chris Dickerson with a pretty good drive but out of position for birdie. He's over on the right side and not going to have much.
Yeah, anything that moves to the right seems like it continues moving to the right.
I'm very excited to see what Arlinghaus does here because I'd like some tips.
Calvin Heimburg, 2 straight, never pulls over. So he's going to be pretty far back, probably out of birdie position with a lot of the tunnel still to go. Matt Orum, this is moving well.
Throw it in. You can throw it in.
Pretty flippy disc. Still came out too early, but a nice kickback to the middle, and he is going to be in position to try to attack this green.
He said he put a good move on that shot and was surprised to see it as short as it was. Now we know why. Arlinghaus, is it the same putter he's thrown several times?
It is, and gets it turned over a bit too much. And going to kick off to the right side, probably be in some trouble.
Heimburg to the distance driver, going to throw force over forehand.
Good out, Calvin.
And that's out the gap. His work not totally done, but in position for a par.
Yeah, from where he was at, that's what he had to do. Get out of the gap. Give yourself an opportunity. Wow. That's not over there. I don't know how he did that.
Yeah, miracle worker. Every time Zach Arlinghaus has needed a tough scramble shot, he has executed it. Matty O to the big forehand. And into circle one.
Yeah, gonna be underneath those cedars. Hopefully has a bit of a putt. And Chris Dickerson, after what looked to be a pretty good drive, is now throwing a forehand roller.
Probably not the only one in the field who had to try to make something out of nothing. He's going to be out in the field, kind of in the same zone as Calvin.
And Arlinghaus, for yet again another incredible scramble, trying to keep his clean round. Count it.
Yeah, right up to the wood chips. Really fun and exciting to see him, and great to have a hometown kid on the feature card. He was in with one of the DGPT event exemptions. And, Calvin from deep, trying to bring up another greedy birdie. Arlinghaus actually wasn't in this tournament until very recently, but they wanted to make sure that the local area was represented well.
Yeah, and he's done that nicely here in this first round. Could have easily gotten away from him, but he stuck with it. Kept that clean round. Matty-O gonna catch one more birdie here on hole 18, the hardest hole on the course. Move himself to 9 under par for the round, inside that top 10.
And we will see him, due to his PDGA number, on this Gatekeeper Media feature card. Or, excuse me, chase card in round 2.
Yeah, Chris Dickerson, nice scramble. Choosing to go up high and around these cedars on his third shot. Interesting play with how close he was, but worked out well for him. And what a treat it was to watch this round, Fish.
Yeah, 4 very different styles, and all very interesting to me. Got to see a bunch of birdies on the front, bunch of birdies on the back. Everybody keeping a relatively clean sheet. You see the leaders out there at 12 under. We're going to see Jeremy Colling, Calvin Heimburg, Nate Hecker, and Matt Orum. So a couple new faces and a couple familiar friends.
Yeah, looking forward to another exciting round out here at Idlewild. Possibly some weather coming into play tomorrow, so mixing up the scoring conditions. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to Gatekeeper Media. Make sure you like and subscribe. For Andrew Fish, I'm Nathan Queen. We'll see you guys out there.